What's the best piece of advice you've been given, and by who?
You did brief me on this
question. Or should
question.
that be whom?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You did brief me on this question. It's the one I gave the most thought to be honest. I have to give a shout out to Kevin McDonald, who's a VP of Strategic Business Development at Pax8. I've worked under Kev in the Warhive days before Pax8 acquired us, and for a bit of time as part of the Pax8 Partner Services division as well. And moving from a company, I mean, when I joined Pax8, it was 20 people, and I managed half the team. Very quickly moved to about 40 people when we got acquired, and then all of a sudden we're 2,000 people now. And the shift from going from small businesses to a bigger corporate kind of business, multinational headquarters in North America, of course, was a big culture shift. I'd worked in enterprise businesses before. I'd worked for Publicis Group, an absolutely massive organization, but as an IT help desk guy. But being a leader in a corporate, being a director at that level was a very different thing to anything I'd experienced before. And you want to get to the advice, of course. So Kev's advice for me was to go and seek feedback from other vice presidents and other senior leaders within the business, and just get that kind of the 360 feedback, and the feedback from them in particular about my approach and the way that I come across to them and their teams. And similarly to the story with the Oxygen influencer kind of recognition and the story there, I learned a lot more about the influence that I have, and maybe the air in the room as I walk in as someone that I didn't think anyone in the company at Pax8 looked up to me.
Right.
For me, it's a company that I've been at for a good few years, and everyone was my friend. So the new people we were hiring that are coming in, and Pax8 was their first job, working on that sales floor. When I walked into that room, it was different to walking into a room where people were really peers and friends and things like that. So people that there was a company that was big enough that didn't really understand who I was. Nobody knew my story as well as they had done before. So getting that feedback from all the different leaders was a real gift, and that was amazing to be able to develop my own self-awareness and my approach based on that.
Yeah, and brilliant. And so Richard, just to kind of widen the lens a bit, with all your experience and looking at all the influencers, and what are some of the key trends you're seeing in terms of people using their influence to achieve their career ambitions?
Yeah, listening to Andy's story there, I think that is key. It's very much our industry's gone. It's moved dramatically in the last few years, in my opinion, and as a person who has spent most of his career in this industry, and it's one I've enjoyed that journey with. I remember 15 years ago being in an event, and we said we're going to move from a vendor-led, technology-run industry to a consumer-led industry, and nobody believed us, right? Everybody thought we were mad. So to your point, Andy, where you're looking ahead 10 years and back 10 years, because you learn from experiences you've had before as well. That's what makes us what we are tomorrow, right? But that way of innovating and thinking, I think that is key. I think the innovation piece and the change and the pace of change has never been so fast as it is today. And I think what that's done is it's just disrupted the traditional models in the industry. So our models in the industry were very linear, in the way we sell products, sell solutions, we wrap solutions. Now we call them outcomes, and whatever it is tomorrow, right? That will keep evolving that narrative. But I think we're getting to a point now where with AI and bits that AI is evolving within our industry. I'm in a relatively small business, but AI is impacting us in a positive way. There's no doubt about it. But it's where do you start on that AI journey, right? And someone like Andy's advising people day in, day out on the different approaches to get the outcome that they're after. I think, did you mention it was the dreams, to sort of chase the dreams through technology or whatever it might be, Andy. I think we've got to this point now where we've got to remain human-led. A big thing for me is that human-led. It's that connection. That doesn't mean we slow things down, but actually, we've got some of the best tools in the world, and technology's moving at a rate of knots. But it's a little bit of, like the rhetoric that is put out there from the vendors especially, and some other parts of our industry, means don't believe the hype, just understand actually what you're trying to achieve and cut through that. And that's never changed really. Yes, it's gone from traditional product sale through to a different buying cycle and different personas, what we're selling into, and stuff like Pax8 are doing with the marketplace and everything else. But those that are innovating the fastest at the moment are the ones that are really starting to understand what the new landscape is like. And we talk about product shortages and chip shortages and all the other stuff that does affect the channel. There's no doubt about it, but it impacts the legacy channel a lot more than the forward-looking channel, in the sense that if you're selling an outcome, there's vendors out there that they're not selling products, they're selling solutions. I think of Meter networking, for argument's sake. They're not selling products to the market. They're selling an outcome, a solution. How you provision that service and that product is where you bring your own intelligence, the MIP piece I think you touched on. So I think we're just going through a bit of state of flux at the moment. But I think when it settles down, I think there'll obviously be winners and losers in this, and there'll be a lot more consolidation as a result of that, which we've seen already, and other influences like private equity. 40-50% of channel businesses have private equity backed businesses. They're not getting the returns quite at this moment in time, in terms of it being an investment choice for them. So that's bringing other challenges to boardrooms to actually think different and actually reinvent yourself a lot quicker. But then your time to revenue's got to be quicker as well, which is where technology can lend a helping hand.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Andy, just to go back to your example of going into schools. So you've touched on it already, but what's your message to school leavers and to those outside the industry contemplating a career, or maybe not contemplating a career in the IT channel?
Yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to what you do with technology in any role. The world that's changing around us means that whatever role you do, whatever career you go on to have, you need to know how to harness the technology. It's affecting every single thing. So I think the biggest takeaway is understanding that new ways of working are going to emerge. In particular right now, if you're mid-teens thinking about leaving school soon, and whether you've gone to university and college or not, I think the environment you're landing in is so turbulent in the next kind of 5 to 10 years that you have to be aware that there's going to be so much displacement, especially in enterprise businesses, from automation and AI. And I think that we've all got a role to play in making sure that when we go through this change, that we do it with diversity and inclusion, to make sure that we come out on the end of this change and this big revolution, and the world is a better place. Now, I think if I was to give a percentage chance of that, the likelihood of that it's a better place at the end of this, it's difficult. It's probably low, but I think we all have to play a role, and it's not just the most experienced people and the leaders in the business, but equally the new, fresh ideas, the new talent that's coming into any type of career at the moment is equally going to play a role in how that gets adopted, how they bring the existing people along that journey, and everyone evolves with this technology and what we're going into. So, in particular, seeing we've gone from chatbots to assistants. We're starting to see outsourced work in terms of tasks and things being done by AI automation.
Yeah.
But the next thing being this huge disruptor in terms of parallel work being done is really going to make a huge difference to the way that we know the world right now. How we value paying people money for a salary for the work that they do is going to completely change and be something we have to reconsider as a whole. It's a crazy world we're going into really for the next 5 to 10 years. So anyone that's going into that, this isn't the typical talk I give in schools, but it's more about inspiration about the tech generally, to be aware of it.
Quite profound. But
if to leave anyone, whether that's a career move mid-career now, or someone just getting into working in the next 5 years, it's absolutely about the power of this technology and trying to harness it for good and bring those along with you if you can.
Yeah, no, that's a fair message. And just tell us finally one thing that you've got planned for the rest of the year.
So that I kind of just touched on it really. So the next stage, the next level of evolution after chatbots and assistants, and then these tasks that we're outsourcing, I believe the term hybrid workforce is about to mean something different.
Okay.
So I think by the end of this year, a hybrid workforce isn't humans that work in the office or remotely, and COVID certainly set that example for us. I think the future of hybrid workforce is humans and agents working side by side. Mm-hmm. So for me, the big focus is getting much more involved on building and showcasing what that future way of working looks like, working with the latest cutting edge tech to revisit those old ways of working, which still feel like current ways of working. But, if you're in the circle of using AI quite a lot, they feel like old ways of working. Leaning into best practices that some businesses had to, document their ways of working, their processes, mostly in a Visio diagram or a PDF that's dusty in the corner somewhere that's not been opened for 10 years. Time to reopen those and revisit the way we do things with a new lens of, what if we could scale up and achieve twice as much either net profit or net positive impact on the world, and really think about how AI plays a role in making all of those things possible that just weren't feasible before. So it's really leaning into that next evolution of working alongside AI.
So scary, but also exciting as well at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. For me, there's enough people that can talk about how scary it is that I'm trying to focus on doing it in a really impactful way and a really purposeful way. Heard you say that on stage.
Yeah.
Purposeful AI is a really nice way of coining it. Credit to you.
That's a theme that you often explore in the presentations you give.
Absolutely. Anyone that thinks AI is a gimmick or talks about hype in the AI sphere just hasn't asked themselves what their problems are. So very similar to the value and the self-belief and confidence and the conviction that I have with the Oxygen Influencer platform and the foundation it's given me. I really understood what I was good at, what I was not so good at, and that's really given me just assuredness, like to be able to move on and to go and achieve things. Anyone else out there that's looking to use AI needs to go on a similar journey. The amount of times I get asked after I've come off stage, tell me 3 use cases for AI. I was like, I could tell you my 3 use cases, but I couldn't tell you yours. To tell you your use cases, I have to know your 3 biggest problems.
Yes,
It's so individually different. It is so human-centered that to achieve purposeful AI that really makes a difference, every individual person needs to understand what they're good at and not so good at. So AI can either amplify their strengths or plug those weaknesses as well. So for me, that's a big thing.
You've ended up kind of giving us a bit of a glimpse into the future, which is a bonus. It's not expecting. So thank you so much for that, Andy. I really appreciate your time and really good to learn more about your journey, particularly post Oxygen Influencers. So really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
And thanks also, Richard.
Yeah, thank you both.
Cheers.